It's 3 in the morning and your heart won't slow down. You keep replaying every word they said, searching for hidden meaning in a single text, unable to eat, unable to sleep, unable to think about anything but them. And you tell yourself this is it. This storm in your chest is proof. This is what it feels like to fall for someone. But what if the feeling you trust the most, the one you've been taught your whole life to call love, is actually the same signal your body fires when it senses a threat? What if the person you can't stop thinking about isn't waking up the part of your brain built for connection, but the part built for survival? We treat love as the clearest feeling we have. When the chest tightens, when the mind loops, when someone takes over our thoughts, we read it as certainty. We say things like, "I just knew." But your body does not have a separate alarm for romance. It has one general alarm, an ancient one, and it rings the same way whether you're falling for someone or quietly sensing that something is wrong. The racing pulse, the tunnel vision, the inability to focus on anything else, these are not the fingerprints of love. They are the fingerprints of activation. And the strangest part is that the very thing we use as evidence of deep feeling, that overwhelming intensity, is often the thing that should be warning us. To understand why your body confuses these two so easily, you have to go back to a time when being wanted wasn't a feeling. It was the difference between living and dying. Imagine a small band of humans, maybe 30 people, moving across a cold landscape. There are no walls, no police, no hospitals, no stored food beyond what the group can carry. For a single human alone, the world is a death sentence. You cannot stay awake to watch for predators and sleep at the same time. You cannot hunt, gather, raise children, and defend yourself all at once. Survival was never an individual sport. It was a group project. And so the bond between you and the people around you wasn't sentimental. It was infrastructure. To be connected was to be protected. To be cast out, ignored, or abandoned was, very literally, to be marked for death. This is why your brain never built a gentle, low-stakes system for social connection. It couldn't afford one. The possibility of losing your place in the group had to feel like an emergency, because for hundreds of thousands of years, it was one. So the same circuitry that scans the dark for danger was wired straight into the circuitry that tracks your bonds. Rejection had to hurt. Distance had to sting. Uncertainty about where you stood had to keep you alert and awake. The anxiety you feel when someone pulls away isn't a malfunction. It's an inheritance. Your nervous system is treating a fading connection the way your ancestors' nervous systems treated a fading fire on a freezing night. But here's where it gets stranger, and here's the detail almost no one notices. Fear and attraction don't just live next door to each other in the body. They speak the same language. A pounding heart, shallow breath, sweaty hands, a stomach that drops, a mind that fixates on one single thing and refuses to let go. That is the signature of fear. It is also, almost exactly, what we describe when we talk about being crazy about someone. Your body produces the sensation. Then your mind, desperate to explain it, reaches for a story. And if there happens to be an attractive person nearby, the story your mind tells is often the most flattering one available. Not, "I am anxious." Instead, "I am in love." And this isn't just a poetic idea. It was tested. In one of the most famous experiments in psychology, researchers stationed an attractive woman at the end of two very different bridges. One was a low, sturdy, perfectly safe wooden bridge. The other was a high, narrow, swaying suspension bridge over a deep canyon, the kind that makes your whole body brace. As men crossed each bridge, she stopped them, asked a few questions, and gave them her phone number in case they had follow-up questions. The men who crossed the terrifying bridge were dramatically more likely to call her afterward. Their bodies were flooded with the physical signs of fear, the racing heart, the adrenaline, the shaky hands. But standing in front of an attractive stranger, their minds quietly relabeled that fear. They didn't feel scared. They felt drawn to her. The danger of the bridge became, in their memory, the spark of attraction. Now sit with what that means about your own life. If a swaying bridge can manufacture the feeling of attraction out of pure fear, what is happening when you fall hard for someone who keeps you anxious, uncertain, and constantly off balance? The person who texts back instantly, who is steady and warm and reliably there, often inspires a strange flatness. We call them nice. We say there was no spark. Meanwhile, the person who runs hot and cold, who disappears and reappears, who keeps you guessing, sets your whole body on fire, and we call that chemistry. But look closely at what's actually generating the fire. It isn't connection. It's uncertainty. It's the same not knowing that kept your ancestors awake by a dying fire, now wearing the costume of romance. There's an old trap hidden inside this, one your brain learned long before you were born. Unpredictable rewards are the most addictive rewards of all. A bond that's always secure lets your nervous system relax, and relaxation feels quiet, even boring. But a bond that might vanish at any moment keeps the ancient alarm humming, and that hum feels like passion. So we mistake the absence of safety for the presence of love. We chase the people who activate our survival system and quietly overlook the ones who would actually calm it. We learn, without ever deciding to, that love is supposed to feel like fear. And the more it hurts, the more real we assume it must be. This is the hidden cost. When you confuse anxiety for love, you don't just pick the wrong people once. You build a pattern. Calm starts to feel like a warning sign. Peace feels like something is missing. You begin to need the spikes of worry and relief, the pull away and the rush back, because without them you don't feel anything you recognize as love at all. Real intimacy, the slow, steady, unglamorous kind, can feel almost invisible to a system trained to equate intensity with importance. And so people can spend years exhausted, mistaking a racing heart for a deep connection, mistaking the fear of losing someone for the proof that they love them. But maybe there's something almost tender in understanding this. That anxious pull you feel isn't a flaw in your character. It's the echo of every ancestor who survived because they refused to be left behind. Your body learned, across an unimaginable stretch of time, that other people are the difference between safety and the dark. The ache you feel when someone drifts away is older than language, older than cities, older than you. It was never really about this one person. It was about belonging, about not being left outside the circle when the sun goes down. So the next time your heart is pounding at 3 a.m. over someone who keeps you guessing, pause before you name the feeling. Ask whether your chest is full of love or full of alarm. Ask whether you've found connection or just found a swaying bridge. Because the feeling we trust the most is also the easiest one to misread. And sometimes what we call falling in love is just an ancient part of us, still afraid of the dark, mistaking the racing of a frightened heart for the sound of finally being found.